Alright, I am really hesitant to talk about this, but I have been a resident of either France or Germany for the past 8 years, but because of my health problems, I was unable to renew or change status. So currently I do not have permanent resident status, and I thought that I could just leave the Schengen area, get a stamp, and then come back and stay for another 3 months with an automatic tourist visa. I didn't have any issues on the border, but then I realized once I was back that actually you're only allowed to stay for 90 days within a 180-day period. So technically I would be overstaying right now if I don't get a residence permit somehow. And as much as I would rather have the residence permit in Germany, I'm just not really sure how to make that happen right now. And since I'm spending most of my time in Hungary at the moment, I wanted to try getting one here. The only one that I could apply for that might work is the other status, because I don't fit in as student, working, PhD researcher, or anything like that. So I've heard this is the kind of place where if you are standing outside when they open at 8 o'clock, there will be a line. Obviously, I did not get up that early. It's probably like 1 now. And I think they close at 4, but I've heard it's a nightmare there. I still thought I need to do my due diligence and at least make an attempt, but I'm already kind of apprehensive about the situation, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to go to the immigration office and see about getting a residence permit. My current hostess did get citizenship through the simplified naturalization process. She got it before she moved here, so she hasn't actually dealt with the immigration office here, but she was telling me, oh, that's like the central office. There must be an office in every district, and the central office is going to be the busiest. So I tried to find like a office in the district of the address that I was using, and there were 2 marked government office, and I went to both of them. They both said it was the wrong place, but I felt like it was a good thing that I at least figured out where to go so that the next day I could go directly to the right place and get there earlier and not waste time and not be as worn out. But unfortunately, since I pushed myself to go out Monday, when I actually went to the right place on Tuesday, I was even more exhausted, and I basically walked in. There was a room to the left and the right. I went into the right, and there was a lady standing behind a desk talking to a man, and I thought as soon as she finishes talking to him, she'll help me. This lady like walked in between me and the man to get to like a shelf with a bunch of forms and just sort of helped herself. And then when the guy left, the lady behind the counter just goes into this back room and like doesn't address me at all. So then I'm standing there like, okay, what do I do now? So I went over to the forms and I took one myself in English and Hungarian. And then I went into the other room where they have a computer screen where you select the reason you're there and you get a number. And I could recognize the word information. It was really similar to English. And when you click on information, there's two different types that you can select. So I had my phone and I was individually translating each word to figure out which information type I should choose. And then once I finished, there was this lady sitting in a chair like right there, and she's like, "Do you speak English?" Because there's an English button on there. You can have the menu switched into English. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well." And she told me that I only have to fill out the form in English. It's, some places they offer it to you in English, but it's not official. For official purposes, you have to fill out the one in the language of the country, but they do accept it in English here. And she told me that she had already been waiting for, I think, 2.5 hours, and she had arrived, of course, several hours earlier than I had. And she said the later it gets, the more people are going to get here, so go ahead and take a number for actually submitting the application, so that if you get the information and you want to submit it today, you can. And she told me that if you submit it and it's incomplete, then you have 2 weeks to bring them the rest of the documents. So I took a second number and filled out the application while I was sitting in there. But after like an hour, my butt started hurting from these chairs, and that's sort of like my limit energy wise. After that, I was feeling really uncomfortable. I start to get really achy and fatigued, and it's like I just really need to lie down and rest. And in places like this, it's not an option. And after like the second hour of toughing it out, it was just really unbearable, and I couldn't take it anymore. I really wanted to leave. And finally, after 3 hours, they called my number to get information, and the guy said, "Do you have your passport?" I said, I forgot it. I had it with me the first day, and then I put it away, and the second day I forgot it. So he goes, "What, do you want to ride in the back of the police car? Because if the police stop you and you can't properly ID yourself, then they're gonna take you to the police station." And I'm thinking, I just heard him having a conversation with a woman like 20 minutes ago where she said, "Oh, well, I don't have my passport, so I'm just gonna go home and come back another day." And he wasn't making such a big deal out of it with her, but okay. So when they finally called my number, I go up to the counter with this lady, and she goes, "You're not pot." And I said, "You speak English?" She said, not that I had trouble understanding "you're not pot" at this point, but yeah, obviously I can't go far beyond that. And she goes, no, I don't speak English. My colleague speaks English. So she had me sit down, wait for this guy to finish helping someone, and then I could go up and talk to him. And he was like, "Okay, so what do you want?" And I'm like, I want to know like what else I need besides this form. He goes, "Oh, good question." And he goes off and gets me one form, and I'm like trying so hard to think and remember what I need. I'm like, "Okay, so what about this?" And he goes, "Oh yes." He goes and checks something else and comes back, and it's like he's getting me these things one at a time as I ask for them, instead of just like a packet or something where you say like, "I want this type of residency," and you get this packet like all together. Like, no, you have to think about each individual question. And he kept saying "jolly good," but like with no British accent at all. He gets just so "jolly good, jolly good." And yeah, finally I felt like he had answered all of my questions, and yeah, I left. But the thing is, I need someone to sign this form showing that I'm living at their residence, that they're giving me permission to live there. And I still haven't got the signature. I would have been really tempted to push myself to go back the next day, but not only did I need that signature, I needed to print some things. I needed to print my bank statement. I needed to write a letter saying why I wanted to stay in Hungary, and explaining my financial situation, and make a copy of my passport. So like all these things needed to be like printed or copied, and I knew that if I had to go do that and meet up with this person to get a signature before I went back to the office, I didn't have the energy for all of that. So I didn't go. But the whole time I was at the office, on the screen they have this message repeating in English, Hungarian, French, and German, telling you about this Inter-Hungary website where you can submit your application online and you only have to go in person one time. So I decided to try signing up, and it worked. I was able to sign up. I was able to choose the type of residency I wanted, and I filled out, there were like 4 tabs in this portal. 2 of them were the form that I had already filled out on paper. There was a few things that I preferred to leave blank that I was forced to answer online. And then there was another tab that was like asking about how much money you have exactly, but I had to upload my bank statement anyway. And then it said which institution is hosting you, and it wouldn't let me leave it blank and enter in the financial information. So I had to do both in order to complete that tab, and it wouldn't let me submit the application until all of the tabs were complete. Like it didn't even have a submit button show up. And on the 4th tab is where you upload documents, but you click, like there's different sections, and on each section you click on like what type of like financial document you have, what type of residential document you have, whatever, and you click on it, and then you choose the file. You say like yes, you want to upload it, and then it uploads. But then you have to go back to the main page, and there's a drop down box where you select that file. For like each section where you want to add a file, you have to drop down and select that one file that's being displayed, which seems kind of silly because I mean you can only attach one file to each section anyways. They're saying if you're attaching something with multiple pages, you need to save it in as one document. So I don't know what that's about, but you are able to submit documents later on, and if stuff is missing, you can they'll notify you and let you know what they need. So I did everything that I could myself and went ahead and submitted it, because I felt like it was better to submit it as soon as possible if it like saves my spot in line or something. And hopefully I can get this residency thing signed as soon as possible. And then I also need passport pictures and like my signature on this form. So I think those are the only elements missing right now. I'm hoping this is gonna work, because I had to pay about 20 euros to submit the application. But yeah, it's definitely saved me a lot of pain just like sitting back there and waiting again. It said on the like their little ad that you have to if you submit that way, you only have to be present in person once. So I'm thinking I'm still gonna have to go in some other time and like let them see my passport and everything in person, but I still think this is a definite advantage. And yeah, at the very least, like I didn't have to go there to submit my application in the first place. I didn't have to print, and if I go in at a later date, hopefully I'll be more rested and I won't have to wait as long, maybe, since it's just like an additional thing and not like the initial time when you're submitting the application. So I don't know, we'll see.